This thing is actually pretty freaking hard, and depending on how you go, the difficulty can definitely exceed MOC 10. I personally got my ass clapped by the deer, and it wasn't even the freaking final boss. And so my guys, welcome to the new simulated universe, the Swarm Disaster Mode. And I think that this may be the second best update since the launch of the game. Now, what's the best update? In my humble opinion, it's the Aurum Alley, because God, I love these freaking little management mini games, although they do get a little bit tiring by the end. Regardless, this video is about Swarm Disaster, and so today I wanted to talk a little bit about how I'm feeling about it, because on one hand, it is actually absolutely incredible. I think that Simulated Universe is probably the best game mode in the game. I hate MOC. I would probably even go as far as calling it peak end game, but there are certainly a couple of things that I am worried about, some changes or updates that I would like to see. Hi, I'm Lace. Today, let's talk about the Swarm Disaster. First of all, let me give you like a quick summary of this new game mode, because in a nutshell, it truly is Simulated Universe 2.0, because really the core premise is the same. We're moving through the map, we go and fight mobbies like this. We're still going to be collecting blessings. I'm looking for the hunt ones like this one right here. We're still collecting curios. We make choices in occurrences and get benefits or screwed from the events. We've still got to fight the elite boys, although they look a little bit more scary this time. And finally, we got to fight a big bad boss at the very end. As you can see, most if not all of the systems that we have come to love and hate from the standard SU, they are present, which is again why I would call this SU 2.0. And so let's talk about a couple of the main differences. The first of which is that we have to travel through 3 planes now, because instead of traveling linearly like we were before, we now have to go through 3 maps with the big boss at the very end. And inside each of these planes, the map has gotten significantly more complex, as you can see right here. For the most part, it's pretty much the same. So you've got your respite, you've got your occurrences, combat, transaction, boss, and then we've got a couple of new ones, such as the mini game you can see over here. We've got a treasure chest and we've got a swarm cell as well. And so the interesting thing about this system is that we can actually influence a lot of these cells and the path we take. And depending on the Aeon path that we selected, so I chose the hunt path, we can actually influence and change a lot of the grids on the map. So for example, you could add a warp trotter if you're running the path of the hunt, because that seems to be what the hunt is all about. It's all about the trotters. Sometimes you're able to actually just straight up skip to the next map, skip through a couple of different grids, and you can even straight up delete a grid and take the rewards without even completing it. The path system has also been expanded, so this thing down here you see is the continuous effect. Every path has a different one, and for me, the hunt path, this bad boy gives me crit damage every time I beat a trotter, so I should go for these trotter icon ones over here. And I know that it sounds really freaking broken, so right now I've got plus 90% crit damage. However, what I am going to say is that this game mode gets really freaking hard, and if you don't take advantage of this thing over here, like, you are definitely going to lose. Like last time I lost over here. You guys saw how bad that deer screwed me up. Next, we've got the Disarray counter, which is this one over here. And so as I travel through each of these grids, this counter is going to go down 1. And so if I make the selection, I'm going over to this Curio Trotter, you see the countdown is going to go from 8 to 7. And so the short version of this is that if you spend too much time going around collecting buffs, because you could actually take a short path, like boom, 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 go straight to the boss, or you could go like zigzag like that, and then up like that, and then down like that, and then back up to the boss. Taking the long path means that you're going to take more countdowns, right? And when you take too much of the countdown counter thing, I think this is called disruption level, then the game does punish you for it by increasing the base stats of the enemies, including the bosses. Now, it doesn't mean that you should always just take like the shortest path through, but you just need to weigh up if it's actually worth it. So for example, without changing any of the other grids, I'm probably going to go through like this, because that's where my trotters are. And for example, if there was a trotter up here, I would probably still go for that and incur that extra countdown. There's also a bunch of new unlockables. So this is the communing trail, and this is essentially our new skill tree for Swarm Disaster. And to unlock the effects of the skill tree, we have to complete missions. So Way of the Pathstrider, and these are essentially a bunch of side missions that you just have to do, complete a total of 6 domain combat in Simulated Universe, the Swarm Disaster, and we'll be able to get 2 skill points into Remembrance and Destruction. To be honest, it's quite likely that we're going to have to build some custom teams to finish like all of these, but we kind of had to do that for the first Simulated Universe anyway. On top of that, when we move in between domains, we also have this dice roll thing, where essentially it influences the map. And so for this one in particular, it's going to let us chase down a Blessing Trotter or a Curio Trotter beacon. So I'm talking this kind of grid or this kind of grid over here. However, if we don't like this effect, what we can do is we can re-roll it, and there are blue, purple, and gold effects. Just remember that in the whole run across all 3 planes, you only get 1 re-roll. And we're going to use that right now. Let's see if we get a gold one. and that is going to be a purple one. Allies can move to any domain in the closest 3 rows. So this is quite literally the skip one that I talked about before. So I'm going to skip over this treasure chest over here and go for the transaction. What this means is that I take 1 less countdown. However, is it worth it? Do I really want to skip this chest? I don't know. That, or I could actually jump all the way down over here and go for the mini game. But yeah, this is what I mean by influencing the map. And so next up, we've got the mini games grid, which is pretty interesting. From what I can tell, there are 2 main mini games right now. The first is to catch trotters by hitting them. And the second one is the one that I got here, where I have to go around the map and destroy as many of the destructibles as I can. And so obviously the better you do, the better rewards. However, remember that the rewards are within the SU context. So it's just like more cosmic fragments and all of that. Danheng is like a little bit busted for this one in particular. And so as you can see, I couldn't get the second goal. I don't think I've ever hit the second goal. I don't know, maybe that's a skill issue, but what we have here are the chests. So this is going to get us a curio or blessing, and there is no hunt blessing, big sad. And the other chest is generally cosmic fragments. So we got 100 of those. And lastly, we have the concept of propagation, where it's really centered around like numbers and spreading, like bugs and cockroaches and bugs and insects. And so as you can see, this is one of the new swarm grids, and so if I long press it, you'll see that we're able to receive blessings of propagation if we finish this one here. There is a path of propagation that we can use in the swarm disaster as well as standard SU. However, we can only access it after we've unlocked all of the other paths first. The boss himself, I believe, walks the path of propagation as well, because his unique skill is really annoying, where he splits up as you just saw, and it's actually pretty common that we're fighting like 5 to 6 enemies at a time. And so guys, as you can see, there are 5 targets on the field. However, these aren't like your super easily Zilla killable targets. So here is me using the path resonance. As you can see, it's not even able to kill one of them. However, the nice thing is that if we do manage to kill the bugs on the side, I believe they do give the vulnerability similar to some of the enemies we have found in Shenzhou right now. And so as you can see, true stings, we've got 3 stacks of vulnerability right now. All right, with all of that out of the way, I want to start talking about what I really liked, and what I didn't like so much about this new game mode. In general, I like most of the new systems. I absolutely do think that this is a direct upgrade from the first SU. This traveling across the grid thing is a lot more fun because there are so many things that we can actually do to influence this map. They've also added a couple of different systems, like you see Skrillum over here, where we can actually go ahead and straight up buy blessings. So I can grab this hunt one for my path. And on the other side, I've got Herta over here, who lets me straight up choose and buy curios. So as you can see, this store is actually not randomized. The other reason why I'm a pretty big fan is because this is quite literally the content where big AoE / erudition characters, they're gonna really shine. The Jingyuan enjoyers, the Himiko enthusiasts, I think y'all are gonna have a field day, especially with the big boss. Now, for me personally, and you guys might hate this part, but I actually really enjoy the mini games. As you can probably tell, I am quite fond of like the non-combat experiences because it really helps break up the monotony. I think that the skill tree this time is really well designed because a lot of the best effects are actually towards the start, and all of the ones beyond that are really nice, but they're kind of like a nice bonus. There are also massive lore bombs in this one over here, as well as the Trailblaze secrets. And just in general, it's improving upon what I would call, again, the best game mode in the game so far. That said, let's talk about a couple of the different things that I didn't quite like as much. The first and biggest thing for me is just that it's so much longer than the standard SU. This is just the first plane, but that second one spans like from one side of these grids all the way to the other. Now, this may or may not actually be an issue. If this is going to just be a permanent game mode without any of the weekly resets from this one over here, then I'm actually completely fine with how long the Swarm Disaster takes, because it means I can take my time, and I do suspect that this is just going to be a permanent mode. Hopefully no weekly things. But yeah, with the whole multi-layer system as well as like the size of those maps, it just gets really freaking crazy really fast. One of the reasons why I really liked the standard SU is because it never really felt daunting. The runs always felt pretty fast and didn't feel like a burden. I don't know if I have commitment issues or something, but Swarm Disaster is significantly more involved. So I can't really like switch off my brain and run it. However, again, I would only want to do that if it was kind of like a weekly grind kind of thing. For a lot of people, I think this system, the more involved system, is going to be a good thing. And so for those of you who value that, this is great. On the other hand, the mini games, whilst I really like them, I can understand if you actually hate them, especially for mobile gamers. I think by and large, it actually should be alright. And the last thing is that the rewards are great. Now, why is that a bad thing? Because whilst they're really freaking awesome, as you can see, we've got the self-modeling resin, we've got a whole bunch of books for crafting, and I believe the total gemmies that we get is about 4.5k. The one thing that is missing from all of this are the Herta bonds. I'm referring to these guys right here, where we can buy the light cones as well as the superimposers. I really wish that they gave us a couple, but hey, the other rewards, they're actually completely fantastic. That said though, all of these things are like really freaking minor, and I still do think that this is the second best game mode in the game. And so my guys, let me know how you feel about it. Are you enjoying it? Are you not really enjoying it? But my guys, this is the end. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.